Write in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is. I genuinely want to know who's out there. And if this kind of content speaks to you, subscribing and hitting like costs you nothing and helps more than you know. Okay, here's something that's going to sound almost offensive at first. The reason most people struggle financially isn't that they don't earn enough. It's not because of inflation or rent or even debt. It's because they're making every single financial decision from a position of desperation, and they don't even realize it's happening. You've been told your whole life that an emergency fund is for emergencies. 3 to 6 months of expenses, tucked away, waiting for the day your car breaks down or you lose your job. That's the advice. That's what every personal finance article, every Reddit thread, every well-meaning relative has told you. And it's not wrong. It's just so deeply incomplete that following it without understanding the full picture might actually be costing you tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime, quietly, invisibly, one small decision at a time. Stay with me here, because what I'm about to walk you through changed how I think about money entirely. And hey, before we go further, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's actually a perfect moment. This is the kind of video that gets better the second time, and I don't want you to lose it in the algorithm. Hit subscribe, hit like, and let's keep going. Here's the problem with how we talk about emergency funds. We frame cash as a defensive tool, something you build to protect yourself from bad things. And because of that framing, most people treat it like insurance, something you hope to never actually use. So it feels boring. It feels like dead money. It feels like the responsible but joyless thing to do, while everyone else is investing, spending, living. But that framing is built on a fundamental misunderstanding of what cash actually does to your brain, your decisions, and your life.
Researchers at Princeton and Harvard spent years studying something they called scarcity, what actually happens inside your head when you're financially stressed, and their findings were genuinely disturbing. Financial pressure doesn't just make you anxious, it measurably reduces your cognitive capacity. Your brain, when it's juggling rent calculations and grocery math and which bill can wait another week, literally has less processing power available for everything else. They called it tunneling.
Your focus collapses onto the immediate problem, and everything outside that narrow tunnel, your career, your health, your long-term options, blurs into background noise. This isn't a character flaw. It's not laziness or poor discipline. It's biology. It's what financial pressure does to a human mind at a neurological level. Now flip it. Imagine you have 6 months of expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account. You know it's there. You know you could reach it within days if you needed to. That knowledge, just the knowledge, does something quiet but powerful. It removes the constant low-frequency hum of financial anxiety that most people have gotten so used to they don't even notice it anymore. It frees up mental space, and that freed up space changes everything. Think about what that actually looks like in practice. 2 people, same job, same title, same company, same manager, same performance review coming up. One of them has 8 months of expenses saved. The other is 3 weeks from overdraft. Both of them ask for a raise. The person with savings can push back. They can ask for a second conversation. They can reference market rates. Take their time. Walk away from a lowball offer without panicking.
Because they actually could walk away, and that changes the energy of the entire conversation, even if they never say a word about their bank account. The person without savings? Every negotiation carries the invisible weight of potential disaster. The ask gets smaller before they even open their mouth. The acceptance comes faster. The settling happens almost automatically, not because they're weak, but because their brain is doing the math on what happens if this goes wrong. Over a decade, the difference in lifetime earnings between those 2 people, identical in every measurable way except for that cash cushion, could easily reach 6 figures.
The emergency fund paid for itself through confidence alone, and it doesn't stop at salary negotiations. Researchers analyzed millions of home transactions and found that all cash buyers pay an average of 9 to 10% less than buyers who need financing. On a $400,000 home, that's nearly $37,000 in savings, not from a deal or a discount, just from not needing a bank's approval. Sellers accept less because certainty is worth something. Speed is worth something. The risk of a deal falling through, disappearing, That's worth something. Most of us can't pay cash for a house. That's fine, but the principle applies everywhere. Buying a used car from a private seller, negotiating with a contractor, walking away from a lease you don't actually want. Cash is leverage, and leverage compounds across hundreds of small interactions over the course of your life. There's also what economists call the poverty premium, a hidden tax on having no financial cushion that most people never even see. When you have no savings, you can't buy in bulk when prices are good, so you pay more per unit every week. You can't pay insurance annually, so you pay the monthly rate, which is essentially a fee for not having cash. You can't maintain your car proactively, so small problems become emergency repairs at emergency prices. You can't wait for a sale. You can't compare prices. You need the thing now, at whatever price now costs. Add it all up, and being financially tight costs thousands of dollars every year. Not in big catastrophic expenses, but in 1,000 small moments where your lack of options quietly drained you. The emergency fund doesn't just protect against disaster. It stops the daily bleeding. The bleeding most people don't even realize is happening. And if you want to subscribe and like the video here, I genuinely appreciate it. Here's the turning point most people miss completely. Cash isn't just protection against bad things. It's the ability to say yes to good things when they appear. Opportunities don't wait for you to be financially ready. Markets crash on their own schedule. Business chances open when they open. Job offers come when they come. The friend with a genuine investment opportunity needs an answer now, not in 6 months. Without a cash cushion, you watch these windows close. Every one of them. Not because you weren't smart enough or didn't work hard enough, but because you had nothing to deploy when the moment arrived. With a cushion, those same moments become options, things you evaluate on their actual merits. And over a lifetime, the difference between missing every opportunity and capturing even a few of them is enormous. But here's what I think matters most. Beyond the math, beyond the negotiations and the poverty premium and the opportunity cost, cash changes how you make decisions about your actual life. Should you go back to school? Without a cushion, the fear of the upfront cost and the reduced income period distorts your thinking. You talk yourself out of it before you've even honestly evaluated it. Should you leave a relationship that isn't working? Financial entanglement makes everything harder when you have nothing to fall back on. Should you move to a city with better opportunities?
The logistics feel paralyzing when there's no buffer between your old life and your new one. Cash removes the fear from the equation. It doesn't make the decision for you. It just lets you make it clearly, based on what's actually right rather than what you can afford to risk. So how do you build this? Practically, honestly, without pretending you have money you don't. Start with a real number.
Calculate what you actually spend every month. Rent, food, utilities, transportation, insurance, minimum debt payments. Multiply by 3. That's your first target. Not 6 months, 3. Give yourself a real goal with real edges. Then, automate it. Set a transfer from checking to savings on the same day your paycheck hits. The amount matters less than the consistency. $150 a month is $1,800 a year. $300 is $3,600. The behavior compounds before the money does. Put it somewhere it works. High-yield savings accounts right now are offering around 4 to 5% annually. On $20,000, that's close to $1,000 a year in interest just for letting the money sit there. Still liquid, still accessible, FDIC insured. You're just not leaving money on the table. Keep it slightly separate. Different bank, no debit card attached. Not hidden, just inconvenient enough that you have to actually decide to access it. A 24 to 48-hour transfer window stops most impulsive withdrawals before they happen. And protected clearly. Define what an emergency actually is. Health, housing, employment. Not a sale, not a stressful week, not a restaurant you really want to try. The definition matters because the fund dies by 1,000 rationalizations, not one big dramatic withdrawal. The progression looks like this. First, you build $1,000 to $2,000, enough to stop the cycle of overdraft fees and credit card emergencies. For a lot of people, just reaching this first level is already a meaningful change. Then you grow it to 3 months, A job loss goes from catastrophic to stressful. A medical issue becomes manageable. You've bought yourself time to respond instead of react. Then 6 months.
This is where the psychology genuinely shifts. You stop operating from scarcity. You start making decisions from a position of actual choice. I want to leave you with something that took me a long time to really understand. The cost of not having cash is almost never one big dramatic moment. It's not the day you lose your job or the day the car breaks down. It's the accumulation, the raise you didn't push for, the job you stayed in too long, the checkup you skipped, the credit card you put the emergency on and paid $22.
The opportunity you watched someone else take. Each one felt small. Together, they built a trajectory. 5 years later, you're behind in income, in health, in life satisfaction. And it traces back to hundreds of moments where financial fear made the decision before you could. Cash breaks that pattern. It doesn't guarantee anything. It doesn't remove struggle or make life simple. But it gives you back the one thing financial pressure takes from you: the ability to think clearly and choose deliberately.
That's not a small thing. That might actually be everything. Progress over perfection. Start where you are. Build what you can, and watch what happens to your thinking when the cushion starts to grow. If this video connected with something real for you, please subscribe and like. It genuinely helps this channel reach people who need to hear it. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I read them. See you in the next one.